You know, in any business that's even a little bit competitive, information is everything. It's power. But how do you actually control that power? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the actual blueprint of a software system. We're going to uncover those invisible rules that decide who gets to see what data and why getting this right is, frankly, the key to winning.
So let me just ask you this right out of the gate. Think about your own business right now. Who can see your most sensitive data? I'm talking client lists, commission splits, the entire deal pipeline, everything. If you can't answer that question instantly and with 100% confidence, well, you already get it. You know what the stakes are. Because let's be honest, uncontrolled information isn't just a mess, it's a massive risk.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the risk, what happens when data is a free-for-all. Then we'll get to the solution, this cool principle called upward flow. After that, we'll map out the specific permissions, dig into something called data silos, run through some real-world examples, and wrap up by looking at how this whole thing is locked down and secured.
Okay, Section 1, the real estate data risk. Look, especially in a field that's as cutthroat as commercial real estate, this is a huge deal. When everyone can see everything, you might think you have transparency, right? Wrong. What you actually have is chaos.
And believe me, this chaos isn't cheap. It has real-world costs. You get sensitive commission numbers floating around. You get agents stepping on each other's toes, fighting over clients, maybe even poaching them. Team morale just tanks. And maybe the biggest problem of all, if all the data is just one big messy soup, how can anyone in charge possibly get a clear picture of what's really going on in the business? The answer is, they can't.
So you're probably thinking, how on earth do you fix a mess like that? Well, the answer isn't some crazy, complicated rule book with 1,000 pages. It's actually one single, really elegant idea that controls the whole system.
And here it is. This is the golden rule, the whole foundation. Information flows up, never down or sideways. Think about that. Data can go up the chain of command, but it can't just slide over to the person sitting next to you, and it definitely can't trickle down to someone below you unless you make a conscious choice to share it. This one simple rule, it changes everything.
And this whole principle works because there's a really clear hierarchy. The best way to think about it is like a super secure office building. An agent, they have a key that only opens their own office door. A senior agent might have a key to their office and, maybe the team's file room. But the managing broker, they've got the master key. They can open any door on any floor and see the whole operation from the top down.
Okay, so we have this upward flow idea. But how does the system actually make it happen? It's all about mapping out permissions, getting super specific about who can do what.
Let's take a look at a real example, senior agent versus a regular agent. See this? A senior agent can create new clients in the system. That's a big deal. It marks them as a business generator. But a regular agent? Nope, they can't do that. It seems like a small detail, but it's absolutely critical. It keeps everyone's roles crystal clear, and it makes sure the agent is focused 100% on their own work, not on things outside their lane.
All right, so all these specific permissions lead us to this really powerful concept, data silos. Now, silos sometimes get some bad rap, right? But here, it's not about hiding information. It's about building these invisible walls that give each person laser focus and, just as important, rock-solid security.
So what exactly is a data silo in this context? Simply put, it's a secure, isolated container for a user's information. By default, an agent's workspace is totally private. Everything, their clients, their deals, their commissions, it's all inside this box that nobody at their level or below can peek into. It's their world and their world only. But remember that golden rule, right? Information flows up. So while all the agents are working away in their own private, focused silos, the managing broker is way up at like a 30,000-foot view. They can look down and see the data from every single silo all at once, giving them that complete picture of the entire business. And here's what that looks like on the ground. This is what we mean by no sideways flow of information. Agent A and Agent B could literally be sharing a desk, but inside the software, it's like they're on different planets. Agent A has absolutely zero visibility into Agent B's clients or deals, and vice versa. This isn't an accident. This is how you architect a system to eliminate that toxic internal competition and client poaching from the get-go.
Okay, the theory sounds good, right? But does it actually hold up? Let's put it to the test. I'm going to throw out a few real-world scenarios and we'll see how the system handles them.
All right, first up, you've got a senior agent, a real top performer. They want to see the analytics for the entire brokerage to see how their numbers compare to everyone else's. Can they do it?
Nope. A hard no. And why is that? Because org-wide analytics, that's big picture data. It lives higher up the chain of command, and remember the rule, information does not flow down.
Okay, next one. What about the managing broker? Can they see the exact commission details for every single agent in the company?
Yes, 100% yes. That's a perfect example of information flowing up. The person running the business needs that total financial oversight. It's absolutely essential.
All right, last one, and this one might actually surprise you. Can a senior agent even pull up a list of who else is on their team inside the system? And the answer is no. By design, they can't. That's how strict these silos are. Even something as simple as a team roster isn't visible sideways. The system is built to keep each agent completely focused on their own book of business, period. It just removes all the noise and potential for drama.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how can you really trust it? I mean, how do you know these rules are actually enforced? Well, that brings us to our final piece of the puzzle. You have to understand that this security isn't just, a checkbox on a feature list. It's baked into the very foundation of the entire system.
See, this isn't just skin deep. These permissions are enforced way down at the database level. That's a fancy way of saying there's no way around it. Even a programmer trying to sneak a peek would get blocked if they didn't have the right permissions. Every client, every tour, every single piece of data is literally tagged with an owner. Privacy isn't something you have to turn on, it's the default. And every single permission change gets logged in an audit trail. There are no loopholes, no backdoors, it's locked down tight.
So that really just leaves us with one last question to chew on, and it's for you. When you look at your own business, is your data protected by design? Is there a deliberate, thoughtful system in place like the one we've just walked through? Or is it really just protected by good intentions and, well, a bit of luck? The answer to that question, that could be the difference between winning and losing.